this video has been delayed as well. There's a trend this month. I keep doing all the delayed videos. This video has been delayed for many reasons again. This one is also because, I have been taking a very long time to try and solve this deck ever since Divine started. And when I sat down to do this video, I actually broke down and cried, I think about twice during different takes. So this is take it. Let's try again. Hey, what's going on, guys? DZBT04 here. DZBT04 here. Today we are back to cover Majesty Lord Blaster in DivineZ. It feels very surreal to say that because that's a line I've been really wanting to say for, I dare say, a good 5 months now. I've been testing DivineZ format for a long time personally, for my own personal growth, for my own WGPs, which I am attending soon, and also I really wanted to be able to play this deck as part of a new format, and it's taken me a very long time to be able to say I can. And not without a lot of hardships along the way. I'm really glad that today I have the chance to even do this video, and that's all because of all of you guys. So really thank you guys so much. Today we are here to cover Majesty Lord Blaster. Well, that's an absolute fucking lie. We're here to cover Blaster Blade, the Vanguard, because they actually printed a promo for the last Monthly Bushiroad from the manga. Like straight one from one. This is a scene out of the manga, and I actually have a physical copy. And I even bought it one in English so you can see. This is actually from the physical manga. So it's really cool that they actually did a whole card based on one of the most forgotten scenes in this franchise. And I'm really glad. As an original fan since 2011, I could not think of anything else that would make me happier. Knowing that Akira Ito also did an interview and colored this panel, I was like, wow. But as much as there are a lot of good news, there's also a lot of bad news with this video. This card is nerfed. The text you read here, it's completely wrong. And Bushiroad won't, at least for the Japanese version, which is, my version, we are not receiving an errata copy. They're giving out free copies of this at Vanguard side. They're not even going to give the correct one. They're going to give you the wrong one. So make sure you're aware of that. And that's probably why this card is really cheap, because you're basically buying a faulty card. I know Yu-Gi-Oh! You guys love errata wrong cards, but in Vanguard that's actually the opposite. So okay, alright, whatever it is though. So today we're still going to go through that as well. Majesty of Blaster as a deck has been doing terribly in DivineZ, but ever since they announced some support here and there, and we finally got this promo, which was a shock. I'd say it doesn't solve Majesty of Blaster's problems. I'm very sorry. It doesn't solve the problems of this deck at all. But I will say that it's still worth investigating and looking into, because a lot of people love the original protagonist of this franchise. There's a reason why this franchise is still around, right? So because of that, you will see some tops in Japan locals using this deck, and there will be people that will play this deck. I think that's an absolute fact, because I'm still breathing and alive. So today's video is mainly on two fronts, which is one, what do you do if you want to play this deck, and what do you do if you want to counter this deck? Because while this guy is certainly nowhere near meta, and I can guarantee you he's not good at all, like if you look at your tier 1, you look at him, like the difference is very stark. But the idea is that he's still going to be a deck that's represented, he's still going to be a deck that's played, and because of that, today I decided, eventually I'm going to have to do this video, because I'm going to have to do a Blaster Blade deck profile. There's no way I'm not doing this, okay? So let's get right into it. We're gonna start off with the right deck. Our right deck is very similar, but actually it's not really. We have the Energy Crest, it's energy, so if you want to know more about, energy as well as the new stuff in DivineZ, please check out my my DivineZ Explained video, link in the description. At the same time, I'll also just say here, I've also already done PBO and DOTE DivineZ videos, and they're both in the description as well. I've already covered them. My overall videos already hit about 1,000. Thank you guys so much. But it shows that the original tree still get a lot of support, and that also is testament to how long I've been testing this deck. I mean, if you got my gist. Obviously, we need to play Vanguard Brave as our starter, nothing new. Marin as our grade 1, nothing new. But our grade 2, we are actually going to play the brand new Blaster Blade of Vanguard, which will shock some people, horrify others, but I'm here to explain the logic. And I'm really going to spend a lot of time on this card because of the implications that Blaster Blade the Vanguard brings. And afterwards, it basically solves the rest of the deck. Like after I'm explaining this card fully, you will be able to fully understand every other decision this deck goes through. Okay, so the text here is completely wrong. So you guys will need to listen to me. If you want, you can go and check out an errata video, or you can check the official Bushiroad website where they publish the errata. But if not, you're going to have to listen to me. If you're going to try and read the card, it's going to be wrong. Okay, so just so we're all clear. And please, I don't need a comment saying, but why didn't you write the whole skill down? That's not my job. It's seriously not my job, and I'm not paid to do this. Okay, channel memberships are $3 So its first skill is that when it's in the soul, the power of your Majesty or Blaster Vanguard, surprise, he didn't write that, is 18,000 power. So that basically means that your 13k here is rewritten to become 18,000. Then you can apply the continuous effect, so he gains another 2,000 if you achieve both Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark in the soul. Note that Blaster Blade Vanguard doesn't count as an original Blaster Blade, so you still need to find the original Armes and Dames to put in your soul so that this combo still works. What I'm saying in English is that you need 3 different cards in your soul for Majesty or Blaster to stand proud, for he is strong. It's alright, but it's really quite devastating. If they made Blaster Blade the Vanguard also count as a Blaster Blade, I think that would have been better. But I understand why they're doing this. It's to retcon and to rectify that Majesty or Blaster set 1 was complete disaster. So I'm totally fine with them trying to go this route as well. Does the 20k base stop people? I'll tell you right now, no. Like, most competent decks do swing over 20, and even a strike deck set, just by having 1 card face up in your generation zone, generally means the whole game is over for you. Like, it doesn't matter. But against, I would say, tier 3-ish decks plus, so decks that are slightly lower on the tier list, you can have a very easy time swatting them down, because 20k is not a number easily achieved without going through a few hoops. So what I'm saying is that if you're planning to play this at like a casual tournament, or hell, a Vajra tournament, link in the description for my Vajra deck profile, you will notice that this is one of the strongest like anime-based people decks ever. Like this will be the most fun shit you will play on the planet. Just being able to stand on top of everyone else is really quite fun, and you're gonna find that the hard way, and that's really the only saving grace of this card. I'm gonna be very honest right now. That's really the only saving grace of Blaster Blade the Vanguard. If not for this skill, I wouldn't even do this video. Like, that's how bad the nerf is, and I should be allowed to explain the rest of the skill so you know why I'm saying that. The second skill is, and this is the main problem, at the end of the battle, your grade 3 Royal Paladin attacks. If this card is in your hand, counterblast 1, bind the grade 3 Royal Paladin from your Vanguard circle, superior right this card from your hand face up in attack position. It gains 5,000 power, and then at the end of the battle, this unit attacks, you choose the Majesty or Blaster from your bind and you write it back down. Now, in case you didn't notice everything I've just said, the very first clause was you have to have the end of the battle that a grade 3 Royal Paladin attacked. This means you cannot loop Blaster Blade the Vanguard with Blaster Blade the Vanguard with Blaster Blade the Vanguard. Neither can you play Crystal Luster Dragon. So for all of you who are actually abusing this guy in premium for 2 weeks, your time has come. This is your judgment, and I sincerely hope you appreciate what you've done for this deck. I kill it. So because of that, you only get 1 extra attack with Blaster Blade the Vanguard. Even if you were to hold multiple copies of it in your hand, it's completely worthless. And yet, you still have to play this card a 4th because, you want the multi-attack. There's no other option to multi-attack unless you wait for Cordelia, who is turn 8. So, yeah, like, if you think about it, realistically speaking, your only option is to just play this once per turn attack, which is fine, but it's not that good. Honestly, when I was playing Blaster Blade the Vanguard pre-errata, like, it was not strong to loop the multi-attacks in D, but it did help. It did give me hope for this deck, of which they nerfed. So, yeah, but alright. I mean, it is what it is. It's Bushiroad's decision. I can't really question it. But, yeah, there's a reason why this card is quite cheap. It's because it's not very good. But it still has one more skill, though, and this skill's pretty fun. When placed on a Vanguard circle, including when you write it normally, Energy Blast 3, choose one of your opponent's rear guards to retire it. Now, this is the best skill that this guy has, because he uses a resource that the rest of the deck doesn't use, which is energy. So if you again don't know what energy is, I said already, the link is in the description. But the long and short of what you need to know for this video is that every turn you gain 3 energy, which means that as long as you just play the game as God intended, you will always have 3 energy to pay for Blaster Blade's retire, of which this retire is an Omni retire. You can retire anything at no restriction. Unlike this guy here, who is locked into retiring grade 2 or higher for his rearguard skill, but then his Vanguard skill, which can retire anything, is CB1. And I've already just mentioned what the Counter Blast has been used for, which is your multi-attack. So it's a very weird and sad puzzle at this point, where you have to really decide where your resources go. And it helps that Blaster Blade, the Vanguard's retire skill, which is, Blaster Blade's most iconic skill, is locked to a resource that virtually you get every turn. And that's really about it. It gives the Majesty or Blaster deck a much better edge in terms of the control matchup, which you will need, okay? You will need it. This is very important for matchups like Varga Regress, Blankdemire, Rezael to an extent, but not really. Shiranui, like this helps a lot more than you think, and I would not recommend you to sleep on that Energy Blast 3 retire skill. The multi-attack is nice, but it's barely functional to keep this deck alive, especially though they nerfed the whole loop thing. When I was testing it when it was infinite loopable, I actually played Dialin in this deck. Yep, so if you want to know why I used to play Dialin, link in the description for my previous Majesty Blaster deck profile. And then all out of the way, we go into the big boy, which is Majesty Lord Blaster. You already know what this guy does. If he has Blaster Blade and Blaster Down the Soul, he gains 2000 power continuous. And when this unit attacks, you can move up to 1 Blaster Blade and all Blaster Dark from your Rearguard circle to the Soul. You gain effects, you go to the ones you moved in. If it's Blaster Blade, you retire 1. If it's Blaster Dark, you gain a drive. You always want to have Blaster Dark because, it's the only source of offensive power this deck has. But that being said, Blaster Blade is still pretty useful because he's a free retire as well. So having Blaster Blade, the original, in the main deck at 4 allows you to use this retire skill up to 4 times a game. And then you couple it off with the fact that Blaster Blade, the Vanguard's retires are always energy based, and you convert Majesty Lord Blaster into a pocket Blade Master style deck. It's kind of funny, like now you are giving the retire edge back to Majesty Lord Blaster, and that's really cool. I don't think I didn't expect this to be the result when playing this deck, but it's now come to the point where Majesty Lord Blaster has a lot more removal than freaking Eugene. Like, wow, okay, alright, that was a wow, that was something. That really was. Previous Eugene deck profile, link in the description. So now that I've covered the deck out of the way, the rest of the deck is virtually very simple, and I can start it right now by talking about our grade 3s. Our grade 3s, we play 4 copies of Majesty or Blaster with 1 in the right deck, and then after that, we also play a copy of Bracing Angel Ladder. Bracing Angel Ladder is our Regalis piece that comes from the triple drive booster. And this card is an absolute must play for a couple of reasons. First of all, even though Majesty or Blaster is now a very strong control deck, you actually are very susceptible to control because, surprise surprise, this deck still has no methods of plussing beyond like your 1 stray copy of Emmeline, if God forbid you even draw her. So because of that, you will actually need to try and protect your board as much as possible, which Bracing Angel Ladder does do. It gives you a soul, which is nice, it draws, which is wonderful. And above all else, it also gives your Vanguard 5000 power. 5000 power, which also means that when your first Majesty Lord Blaster attacks with the original Blaster Blade, the Vanguard and the Soul, that it goes up to 18,000 power as a continuous effect. With Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark and the Soul, it puts it at 20,000 power. And then with Bracing Angel Ladder and the Soul, you go up to a whopping 25,000 power, triple drive, 2 crits. I know that doesn't sound a lot, but you also have to remember that you are attacking a grade 2 Vanguard, and you also get to use Blaster Blade, the Vanguard's superior right skill. When he gains 5,000 power, Ladder applies as well, which gives him an additional 5,000 power, which means you can do 25,000 attack and then a 20,000 second attack on your opponent's grade 2 turn. It basically is a weaker Vanguard Regress. You're welcome. Moving on to our grade 2s. Let's talk about our grade 2s. There's a lot of grade 2s here, so I beg you, please bear with me. Let me just get them all out of the way. For our grade 2s, we play 4 copies of Blaster Blade the Vanguard, one of which is already in the right deck, as you can already guess. So that makes a total of 4 there. And then we also play 4 of each Blaster component. So obviously the original good boy, Blaster Blade, we play him at 4. We also play his shadowy friend, Blaster Dart, also at 4. Where did I put the last Blaster Dart? Oh my, hold on. Ah, there we go. Yep. So we play Blaster Dart at 4. Then we also play Emmeline at 4 because, you know, Emmeline is this deck's best attacker. Like, you gotta play at 4. And then for a spicy tech pick, I also play Truncate Breath Dragon at 4. So yeah, let's get them all out of the way one by one. So I've already covered in great detail Blaster Blade the Vanguard. I don't think I need to cover him more. I will still say this one more time in case you skip through my right deck segment. This deck still needs 4 of him. I'm sorry, it's an absolute fact. You still need to play 4 because he is an independent multi-attacker by himself, although he's only 1 use per copy. So you actually need to play 4. It sucks, I know, but yeah. And frankly speaking, by playing 1 in the right deck, you only have 3 copies left, so you need to make sure that you can actually get your hands on a copy of Blaster Blade Vanguard by turn 3 in your hand. Which is very easy because of stuff like, you know, Marin. But assuming that, you know, you're playing this deck for some reason, you might want to make sure your mulligan does include 1 of him. And then the other must mulligan card is definitely going to be the Soldier of Darkness, Blaster Dark. Blaster Dark is still the best blaster in this deck. I'm sorry, Blaster Blade. But that's only really because he gives your Majesty Blaster an additional drive. That being said though, his skills to gain 5000 power when one of your own rearguards is retired is pretty nice, and we'll get into that interaction later on. His other skill, you frankly really don't need to care. Like, if you're using that skill, you've basically lost the game. Almost the same thing with Blaster Blade. Blaster Blade, you can basically just treat him as a glorified tanky vanilla at this point. If you're using his, you know, his on right skill, which is, you know, Y, because you have Blaster Blade Vanguard on the right deck, so you won't use it. And if you're using his second skill, you virtually also lost this game. But I mean, you can. It's basically when placed on a rearguard circle, count blast 1, choose your opponent's grade 2 or greater rearguard, and retire it. It's Blaster Blade. It's just him. Like, it's just Ahmed's. Like, that's all he does, you know. So yeah. And then my spicy tech pick is Mr. Truncate Breath. I maybe getting his name wrong. He is from DBT10. Yes, you're welcome. He's from DBT10. When placed on a rearguard circle, what he does is he looks at the top card of the deck, he puts it at the top or bottom, and then if you put it at the bottom, you can look at the top card again and put it back. Truncate Breath is very important because Majesty Blaster is a deck that completely doesn't plus. But you will notice that when I was talking about this deck earlier, we have a triple drive Vanguard and followed by another single drive attacker. So if you actually got a chance to set up your drive checks, that would be pretty strong, wouldn't it? And Truncate Breath does just that. On a grade 2, you can throw him down. On turn 3, you can throw him down. He's just a 10k body. You already play 8 vanillas. Another 4 won't kill you. And this guy just helps you check the top card of the deck. It's very effective. He can scan up to 2 to help you move away any cards you don't want to drive check. Or if not, he can just leave it there. You know, it's an over trigger. Just leave it there. Just win the game. Because, you know, use your Psycholia. This card is basically your pocket Psycholia. And that's really about it. You don't really have space or the resource to play other stuff. I know people will definitely ask about it, so I might as well say that first. You can't play stuff like Light Darkness Intersect the Great Tree Order because it's a counterblast. So yeah, you don't have that kind of resource, buddy. Neither can you play other stuff like Spiral QT because if you just Soul Blast out the wrong card, you did just lose the game up front. Like if you Soul Blast out the Wing of Brave, and then after that, you know, you ride the Marin and you fail the grade 2 search. Like, you lose that resource, it's done. Like, the game is over. You just pack up, you go home. So, because of that, and the tightness of our space, you know, I realized that this guy is probably the correct answer. You could probably play some other wet-ass Keta staple in here. I think that's really fine. But I do feel that if you want to capitalize on the whole 4 drives thing, you should play this. I've had a lot of success with this personally. I do think this is a way. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing myself stack an overtrigger at WGP with this and go, I'm just that good. And last but not least, Emmeline. I don't really want to explain Emmeline, but she's really good. You can take my word for that. Basically, when placed on Vanguard, when placed on the Vanguard circle, so +1, looks top 5 cards your deck. She must be called from hand, by the way. You can call a blaster from the top 5 to a rearguard circle, or if you add it to your hand, you must discard 1. So you generally use her to pile up your whole board with the blasters that you can call, which is mainly Blaster Blade and Blaster Dart. That's completely fine. If you get your hands on a copy of Blaster Blade of Vanguard, you may want to be careful, because if you want to add it to hand, you have to discard a card. So it's a bit dangerous. But don't sleep on Emmeline, because every time your blaster unit attacks, she gains 5,000 power. Because most of your deck is blasters, it helps. Moving on to our grade 1s. Our grade 1s, we play for Cordelia, we play for Selgaon, and then for Perfect Guts. That's really about it. The deck is really that simple. The reason why I can get away with playing so many grade 2s is because of Cordelia. Cordelia's skill is that as long as my opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, then my Vanguard's Majesty or Blaster, all of my grade 2s gain boost. So, in case you were wondering, why is he playing so many grade 2s? This is your answer. This is the answer, okay? Don't ask me anymore. We're playing 3 because, realistically speaking, she's not a good card at all. But she is your only other form of multi-attack in this deck, which is, at the end of battle, this unit boosts Majesty or Blaster. You can call Blast 1, choose up to 1 Blaster Blade and 1 Blaster Dart from your soul, and call them to rear guards in the same column. You heard me right, you have to call Blaster Blade and Blaster Dart, or you can just call 1, I mean, it's completely up to you. But normally, I would not do that because my resources are very tight in this game. Normally, I would just call Blaster Blade and Blaster Dart when I already have 1 pair of them in the soul to ensure I can live through this game. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Why would you not do that? But, some people would, so that's completely fine. It's up to them. But other than that, though, really, she's just at a 3 off because you only need 1 on the board because she only works from the center back. So if you draw an extra copy, if you play 4, you just lose. Perfect Guards, because we want to play the game. Selgaon. Selgaon is another Keta staple. You don't have to play Selgaon if you can't afford it. I'm playing it because I love Blaster Blade, but if you can't afford it, don't feel gated out. There's a million other cards you can play in this slot. You can play Painkiller, you can play Melcoco, you can play Dialin, you can play Marin, you can play Blaster Javelin. There's a lot of stuff that this slot can accommodate, and it's not so painful as the Truncate Breath slot, because this is a slot you can actually guarantee to a grade 1 of your choice. It's completely up to you. When this unit boosts, if you have cast a normal order this turn, or if you have more regards to your opponent, this unit gains 5,000 power. At the end of the battle, this unit boosts, retire it, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose 1 from among them, put it to your hand, choose 1 from among them, put it to the bottom of the deck. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's alright. It's just another one of those cards that they go, Keta, but that's really about it. Moving on to our grade 0s. Oh, yeah, right, and then we play a Marin in the right deck. Right. Almost forgot. Our grade 0s, we play a Wingard Brave. He's the bestest boy. We play 8 crits because this is a blaster deck profile. You need to kill people. You are playing a deck that is not good, and because of that, you need to cheat and win by any means possible, including killing. Play 8 crits. Very simple. You play 4 heals because you want to stay alive. 3 effect draw because this deck still has completely shit draw, so you need to find the pieces. And Eidos Farah as your overtrigger. This card has been reprinted in DZBT01, the Fated War, so it's not that bad. You need this card because he's basically a 9th crit. I don't think there's a nicer way for me to say it. I haven't done a Majesty Lord Blaster deck profile since 2022, but I've been playing Majesty Lord Blaster a lot in 2023 and 2024. I can tell you that this card is an absolute must play. You really don't have an option to say, it's alright, I'll just play another overtrigger. You can't, because this deck is actually that bad. You need the 9th crit. I can guarantee you. And if you don't believe me, you can go down to any one of those websites that collects data like Fuzzy Paradox and whatnot. Check it out. Most Majesty or Blaster players have to play this card because it's just that good. And that wraps up my Majesty Lord Blaster / Blaster Blade the Vanguard. DivineZ. deck profile. A lot of emotions again, like really I'm personally just really glad I could even have the chance to do this video. You know, I was really sad for a long period of time that I wouldn't be able to present on a Majesty Blaster and Divines. I just thought, oh, this is the end for this deck, you know, like it served its time, it was funny, it was gimmick, now it's just gone. I'm glad I was wrong. I seriously am glad that, you know, people are happy to see this card again, people are buying this card, people are using it, and there are people that, you know, post pictures of it at Japanese locals, and I'm very glad. But that being said, we cannot escape the reality that not only is this a nerfed card, this is not a good deck, period. Like, if you see your tier 1s and tier 2s, you know, your stuff like Zorga Nadir, you know, your, I don't know, the hell, Vanguard Regress, Rezael, Shiranui, you know, this is stuff that is still completely unbeatable when you play a deck as bad as Majesty or Blaster. But that being said, though, I still have a lot of hope for this guy. I still think that there is room for him to improve, there's room for him to grow. I'm very glad they even bothered to print a Grade 2 Blaster, because it opens up a lot of stuff, like your Marin whiffs a lot less, your Emmeline has more targets. It's something that no one would have expected for a future Blaster support, because we thought, oh, you know, we were done, we were capped at the number of Blaster names unless they went out their way to print like a Blaster Blade Exceed. They didn't. Instead, they gave us a whole new Blaster straight from the pages of one of my most favorite manga of all time. And when you look at that, like, at the end of the day, like, it's still something to be very grateful for. It's still something that you really go, wow, I'm so glad they actually did this. Again, thank you, Monthly Bushiroad. As much as I've hated a lot of the cards that come from your pages, I think this is the first Monthly Bushiroad I bought for myself in a long time. You know, I'm glad that I had the chance to be a part of that last wave, because this is a card that's really special to a lot of people, myself definitely included. Again, like I said, this card is definitely not that good, and neither is this deck good as well. And it will cost you. This deck will cost you, because you have a lot of promotional cards to play in this deck. You have a lot of older, higher rares to play in this deck. And you will need staples or something else, or God knows, even a freaking, I don't know, $100 staple just to give you some form of attack relevance. So, if you are already a fan of Blaster Blade, and you have a lot of extra money to spend, this is definitely, I would feel, at least from my own personal opinion, like, I feel like my money has been well justified because I enjoy playing this deck. However, if you're not interested in losing, or if you don't really have a great attachment to this character, don't buy this deck. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.